Okay, so essentially I just want to go live and show myself drawing and animating. There's no way there's 2 people watching this. Yeah, okay. Let me see. Make it all set up. Okay, so I'm gonna just go at it for an hour. And at the end I'll look back and see how I feel about it. I'm gonna try my best to sort of explain, well, I don't know, we'll see. I might try and explain what I'm thinking while I draw, but yeah, I don't know. Let me just go for an hour and then see what I think afterwards. Yeah. All right, here's our clock. Okay. Okay, so this is my animation. It's super simple. This girl, she sort of sees something, she starts to cry a little bit, and then, you know, she notices something, and basically has to make a decision. So there's essentially 2 cuts in this little bit of animation that I'm making. There's the medium close and the extreme close. And there are 2 parts, well, kind of 3 parts to this first part. So there's the initial rise of her head, and then her eyes sort of bouncing or jittering, or whatever you call it. And then there's another rise of her whole body, and more extreme eye flicker, and then she swings her head down, and then we get into the close-up. So what I need to really do right now is in-betweening and secondary animation, because she has earrings and hair braids and stuff that are all dangly. That's what's called secondary animation. So I have things separated into layers here. Her legs are on the B column, and her hair and dangly bits are on the C column. So right now I have the keyframes pretty much tied down to where I want them to be, but my in-betweens are really still kind of rough, which kind of means that when you play the animation, the motion is there, but some of the drawings just feel a little weird. So what I guess what I'll start with is in betweening the second, the extreme close, and then from there, I don't know, we'll see. That'll probably take more than an hour or so. Yeah, we'll reevaluate. Okay. Yeah. So I guess I should start drawing. Right now I'm working on this in between, so this pose is an in-between between 28 and 27. So 27 is a key and 28 is a breakdown. And I'm just trying to get these three drawings to work together. And so far I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I think it still needs some refinement. Because you can kind of see, I think the main structure of her head is doing what I need it to do with her ears and face. And I think her shoulders are fine too, but her eyes and eyebrows, I'm not sure if those guys are moving the way that I want them to. So I'm just flipping back and forth between the three drawings to try and see how the motion feels. Trying to identify what is creating motion and what is not creating motion. So her hairline seems fine. I think it's really mainly her eyebrows, because in this drawing she has really thin eyebrows. So see if it helps to thicken that up. It helps. And then I'm worried that the actual structure of where the lines, where the eyebrows lay on her skull, might be a little bit off. So now that I've thickened it up, this eyebrow seems to be moving good. This is the other one. I think could use a little bit of work. This might just be a drawings thing. No, obviously it's a drawing thing, but my keys might be a little bit off. I think that this is probably the wrong idea a little bit. Feels a little bit better. Yeah, that feels better. Okay, cool. So now, what let me put in her eyelashes real quick though. So her eyelashes are basically just three strands of hair. So I start with the big shape, kind of like this shape. And then one cut out of here that has to go in perspective, like that. And there's one cut out of here. Shrug those lines. Accentuate the shape a little bit. And on this one. Same thing. I guess I'll just talk because I'm just drawing. I've been thinking about the idea of streaming, which is why I'm running these little experiments. And I'm not really sure what I think about that idea right now, because it seems like if you want to actually have viewers as a streamer, you basically need to make, you know, need to have actually entertaining content, which is a thing that requires effort and manufacturing, basically. Like, it's not like I'm just gonna draw for hours and hours and hours, and then at the end of it have entertaining and watchable content, you know? Which means that basically, if it's just drawing, there's people who might watch it for education, and since I'm not very good at drawing, I don't see why anybody would go to me for that. Then I suppose that there's people who watch it just because they think that people who are good at drawing are cool, and they like art. And they like watching people make art. But I feel like that's not a very wide demographic. Just because most people don't have the attention span to watch some dude animate. Unless they're animators themselves and they hope to get some sort of, like, knowledge out of it. I don't know. Maybe I can discover some hidden entertaining aspect to making art and tap into that. Okay, so basically, here's what I'm doing here. So before, this was a line, a rhythm. And the reason I say rhythm is because a line is this, but a rhythm is something that has directionality to it, if that makes sense. And so this is a rhythm, which is a curve, even though it's just a very slight curve. But the really important part is that in a vertical line, this curve is crossing the line from the right side of the line to the left side of the line. And the reasons that's important is because on this rhythm, in the next frame, it's crossing from the left side to the right side, if that makes sense. And in the rhythm before it, it is crossing from the right side to the left side. So, actually, this is a terrible example, and I'm just tripping because that's fine. Why does it look so weird then? So what I was gonna say is that because I had assumed that they were both left right, and if you have two keys that are a left right rhythm, and then you put an in between that's a right left, like the inverse, it pops, and that's what you want to avoid. And that's what I was trying to explain, but I just picked a bad example because that's not even a problem here. No, this is fine. I'm a little bit worried about the structure of this drawing, but it's an in-between, so it might be passable for now. Just because I'm not so sure about how the eyebrows are, like, laying on the skull in this drawing. Because, like, feels like the structure should be something like this, right? And then bing bop bam. I don't know, something like that. And then that means that the eyebrow should sit like here. And like here. Basically. Something like that. I don't know, I could maybe force a little bit more depth into it. Just to show depth of the skull. So, because the nose is going to go up like that. So, actually, I can try and do something like that. Like, does that feel better? Chat, does that feel better, chat? Or where's my chat at, dude? I need my chat. Damn. There we go. I don't know. I'm also considering taking the Jay Schultz route of just like, it's not entertainment. I'm not going to be talking. It's not educational. It's just companionship. Like, no mic, just cozy rain sounds and, I don't know, me drawing and vibing. Oh yeah, I actually think that's a little bit better. We out here making anime though. This is certified anime type stuff right here. If I do that though, I'm gonna have to make these bigger. She do have pretty big eyebrow though. As part of her design as a character. Part of who she is. Size of her eyebrows. Define her as a person. Boom, 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 boom. These guys are probably gonna want to be a little bit more poppy, or what you call, more like that, so they match. Boom, 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 boom. How does that feel to you, chat? What are you thinking? Does that look good? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Try and minimize in-betweens, because I want this to be smooth, but not too smooth. So just gotta be smart about where I put them. I think we're good to move on from now on that one. Stick that in the middle. And then, so we're gonna go from this guy to this guy, right? So between these two drawings, there's gonna be, what, 2 or 3 drawings? Let's see. 3 drawings. And the first one's gonna be halfway, and then the next 2 are gonna be half-half. So let's make that happen. So this guy is gonna be halfway. And so this and this halfway there. So that's the center line for the in-between. So this is the center line for one, this is the center line for the next one. This is halfway in between them. And then looks like their chins go there. That's kind of where the contour of the head is, or the face rather. In between jaw. Helps a lot to, I almost never rotate my canvas while doing more like illustrative work, like design work or something. But it's super necessary or super useful for animation. I don't know about necessary, but you know, few things are really necessary in many a craft. I don't know. I think maybe if I'm gonna do the 1 AM stream, then having the mic off is a good idea. So I'm just trying to get this top line to flip well between these. Let's see. Just log in some of the basic landmarks so that I know the context of the head. So I'm just holding my pencil like really high up, like this, probably halfway up. It gives me a nice loose grip, and I can just dash like quick and easy strokes that are very loose and gestural. I don't know. I find that the idea of gesture is kind of overused and incorrectly used in art speak. And basically what people use it as is like gesture just means anything that you can't be bothered to finish drawing. Like it's just a drawing that you, I don't know, you didn't finish. But that's not really what gesture is. And gesture is pretty key when it comes to making animation. I'm gonna lower the opacity of that so that I can see what's going on outside the frame. But yeah, no, it's really important to have gesture while you're animating. And to just say, oh, gesture is like an incomplete drawing, it's not doing it justice. I don't know. So what I want to do is capture the halfway point between the peaks of her hairline, which seems to be about right here. I don't know. Doing onion skinning and halfway like guidelines and marking and stuff is good, and it makes it faster, but really it just needs to pass the flip test, and if it does, then it's good. You just do this, and if the hairline looks like it's moving the way that the hairline is supposed to move, then it's good. If it looks like it's not moving the way it's supposed to be moving, then it's not good. I think it's a little bit too blue side. Maybe taking it down a notch would be good. I think it's a little bit too red side, honestly. Problem is that the blue side has these 3 rhythms, and I'm not getting that because the red side doesn't have it, so I need to add that in. At least somewhat. Bum, 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 bum. Looking pretty good, so her shoulders are going to be swinging out, around, just like that. The camera's moving, so that's affecting, because it's coming. That feels good, shoulder-wise. Neck. There's something I was going to say earlier, I can't remember what it was. You can see that the shape of her hairline is changing, because right here it's like an L. And then here it's like an L with a bend in the middle. And then here it's like this shape. I don't know, what is that? So what I need to do is either make them all the same shape, or make my in-between more of a transition between the 2 shapes so that it doesn't pop. And I think I'm going to do a combination of both. Looks good. Looks better at least. Oh, what was I going to say? Something about I was working on the ear. Feeling pretty good, honestly. Could probably start. Start laying in some features here. I think I was going to talk about gesture for a while. But I think the key distinction between gesture as unfinished drawing versus not that is that what gesture needs to actually be is like a notation of energy. I don't know. Maybe that's overcomplicating it, but you know, like the point of gesture is to understand the energy of the thing that you're drawing, and not just, I don't know, have an unfinished drawing of it. And I think where a lot of people get that is like, there's a very common experience that in general, especially when you first start out, your sketches tend to feel a lot better than your line work, like your finished, refined piece. And, oh wow, okay. These eyes are not in the structure of this at all. That's not good. But, so I think basically people say like, oh, well, my sketches look better than my line work, thus my sketches are just gestures. And they're unfinished. They're unfinished drawings. But, I mean, there's a kernel of truth in that, because sketches tend to be more focused on just the energy of the drawing, the subject. But that's not what a gesture is. A gesture has to be genuine, like, attempt at understanding the energy of the subject. So that's the cross point for the chin. Just try and lay that in. Some issue with it. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too caught up in details that don't matter, but it just feels like if you don't actually, like, if you're not actually focusing on the gesture, don't call it gesture. Just call it a sketch. And then, you know, they're different. And they have some overlap, but they're different. There's one going in this way. Too tired to coherently strategize what to say. It would help if I had a viewer that I could talk back and forth with. But yeah, the idea with streaming is like, there's a few ideas with it. Nobody bothered to ask me why I'm streaming, so I didn't explain it to anybody, but there's a few ideas I have with it. First of all, the String Bean channel, I can never know how to pronounce his actual name. It's like Tikanoa Pinjoa or I don't know. But you know who I'm talking about, the String Bean channel, that guy. Talks about how recording yourself working and rewatching it is a good practice, you know? Kind of like game tape. And I understand that in theory. Not sure if I understand it in practice, but I understand in theory. My main problem with it is that animation, or even really any art at that point, is gonna be in its entirety is gonna be hours and hours of work, you know, to complete one thing. And MP4s are big things, big files. So I don't want to have 17 hours of footage of me drawing on my hard drive. And thus my solution is I stream it, the VOD, the video record of it will automatically upload to my channel, and I don't have to use precious hard drive or Google Drive space to store the absolutely massive MP4 file, and I can access it whenever I want. So that's one idea. The other idea is, since I've been thinking about doing like an online class, or someone just walked in my door. Boom, 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 boom. So it helps a lot to really get the rhythm of that cheek in. Otherwise, it feels weird. Like, you need each drawing to feel right as a drawing in and of itself, and feel like the character. But sort of what I was saying is that what I was saying is it was a little weird because this one is bigger than the three of them. Okay, so now I'm noticing that see, now this is a better example of rhythm, because you can see that this guy is going from left to right, like that. And then this guy is going from right to left, like that. And this guy is going also from right to left. Maybe it's another bad example. Okay, so it's not necessarily their rhythm that's the problem. Another false identification, but the problem is the shape, I guess. Because this one is an overlap, this one is just a curve. Should be an overlap as well. That way it matches. Should probably be a little bit less more steep too. But you just have to get these little features in, right? Have that start to appear. Boom, 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 boom. What was I talking about? Oh, why I'm streaming. Yeah, so I was thinking about doing some online content, like tutorials or like an online class type thing, and I cannot for the life of me decide whether I want to cross into the world of online content creation. I don't know if that's a Pandora's box I don't know if I want to open. And I was sort of thinking like, well, I don't know what to do. But if I live stream, that can be a good way for me to test it out. Because gives me the chance to sort of in a more low stakes environment explore the process of making content without taking as much effort, and see how I feel about it, see how I feel about putting myself on the internet. I mean, nobody's gonna watch them, but that's kind of the point. That's why it's low stakes. Yeah, this drawing's starting to look like a drawing. There we go. So the idea is that I can do streams and go back and rewatch them and see how I feel about the process of drawing and talking, and see, and also just practice it and maybe get better at it, you know. So that's sort of the thought. And really, if I can use the streams as a test to learn how to be entertaining while I draw and talk and stuff, and be educational and stuff, and if I feel good about that, then I can justify sort of putting more effort into, you know, writing and editing and filming bigger videos that are more elaborate and quality. Whereas right now I just don't know how I feel about that prospect. So yeah, that's sort of the idea. I'm just talking to myself like a weirdo. That's what I do. I am pretty good at just talking to myself. Like, or not good, as if it's a skill. No, I like the idea more of doing like a lo-fi stream where I'm not actually saying anything except for like every hour or so. Kind of appeals to me. I'm not sure if it would be popular or not, but it is in fact 1 AM. I wouldn't think I'd be this tired given the fact that I was sleeping until, I don't know, like 1 o'clock or something. I've only been awake for like 12 hours. This hairline thing right here does not feel right to me in the way it's moving. It just feels like I haven't made a decision as to where it's going or what it's doing. Because like here it gets pretty big. Sorry, it's probably like super small for you guys. Make it a little bigger. So I feel like it needs to match that proportion a little bit better. This drawing is just a mess. I don't know what's going on over here. Let's see. Let me just. Oops, not that. I'll just turn that off and see what I think. What is this drawing supposed to look like? If it weren't a part of an animation. I don't know, it's hard to scale this, or like rate this animation that I have going on right here on a scale. At least in these stages. Like I know it has big things that could be better. Let's see, it needs to be, and like it feels pretty good to me though. Just like at a very base level. But I'm sure that someone with a trained eye would be able to pick it apart, which would make my day. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to do about that. I think really I just need to fix, I think I need to finish the lay-in of the in-betweens and all of the actual animation, like the secondary animation, in-betweens, tertiary animation, because there's going to be another cell for tiers. And then I think that once I finish sort of a rough, like, well, medium rough, medium refined pass of all of that junk, and then I can pick it apart and what did I just do? I understand now. Nope. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. So now I'm gonna in between these two drawings. So that it eases, so it should go smoothly fast and then slow. So I guess the camera's that way. This should be an easier in between to make because it's less of a gap. So I can just grab points. But oh yeah. Right now, I can definitely tell that there's issues with it, but it feels like it's got the bones of something good. So I think I just need to finish it to the point where I can actually watch what it's gonna look like, and then just refine. Oh my gosh, the stroke. And then just refine, refine, and refine. I just feel like a lot of the in-between drawings are really rough. And there's a lot of specific features like the eyes and eyelashes, and pupils and stuff that wiggle around and do things you're not meant to do. In the in-between phases where she tilts her head up, the crying crying bits are fine, I think, and this bit, the second half, the close-up, I think is going to be pretty okay, like right off rip. Really what it's going to be is those spots where she tilts her head up. That I'm going to have to do some fixes in the drawings, in betweens. But yeah, the rest of it should be fine. Like, for example, this. The ear is going all over the place. I think that's actually a problem throughout the whole animation. And I'm gonna probably just have to go back through and fix it in most areas. But I want to get a good look at the whole animation before I start doing all that stuff. Make a good look at what the animation is actually going to look like. It's also going to be going down as well, so I'm going to make that convincing. Yeah, it's really hard for me to tell, because like, sometimes I watch it and I like it. And then other times it seems like it's not doing too well. So I should finish my bones, try and fix as much as I can, just get a look at it, kind of thing, kind of ting. Pretty good. Not bad, honestly, not bad. I knew this part of the animation was going to be fun to in between, because it's basically just a bunch of portraits from like so many different angles. So now the fun part, features. Something's not meshing well with that. I think it's see, nobody's watching right now, so that makes that emboldens me to say whatever I want, but I bet you that at least a few bots are gonna watch the video that results from this, and that's gonna make me sweat. So more you zoom out, the easier it is to tone out the blending skins. Which is why I like zooming out so much. That ain't right. Definitely ain't right. It's better. So, mostly looking pretty good. Eyebrows are a little. Yeah, see, it's not right. What you're saying, right? It's better. Pay attention to these things, lads. Can't miss these things. That ain't right. Get that. I'm feeling that. Right now, let's get down. That. A lot of the hair bumps are probably going to need another pass as well. This ain't right. Get that energy. The same. It's like slow. And you just erase away the things you don't need. Sir. Feeling better. Pretty good. Let's get them luscious lashes. There. Not bad. Get these guys in. This kind of thing going on. Not bad, actually. Cool. Honestly, it's loose, but perfectly serviceable in between. Like, it's passed on the flip test pretty well. There are some things that, as a drawing, need a little bit of refinement. But the motion is reading, so it's kind of the whole thing you're trying to get there. So our last in between. So basically, we've done 28 was already done, right? So we did this one. That's what we started on, and then the second one we did was this one. And then we just finished this one, which leaves this one, right? So 27 is here. Boom. Right here. Boom. 28 is right here. Boom. This one is right here. Boom. This one is right here. And that leaves this one, which is right here. So for this one, we are really trying to get that easing in. Honestly, I might even favor my drawings a little bit to the blue side, just to exaggerate the easing. Because the closer the drawings are to the blue side, which is the next frame, oh, there's my hour. How do I even explain that? So the closer we are to the blue side, the less motion will appear near the end of the animation. So closer equals less motion. That's kind of a no-brainer. It makes sense, common sense, right? And since we are near the end of the animation, adding in closer drawings means less motion. And what happens is if you have a gradient of more motion to less motion, meaning a gradual change in amount of motion, if that makes sense, then that equals easing, basically. Because it gets gradually less dramatic in the distance between the frames, right? So like another way of explaining it, that like most animation books and classes and stuff say distance equals speed, closeness equals slow. And for all intents and purposes, that's definitively the way to explain it. I just don't like explaining it that way because it was always confusing to me as a stupid little animation student, because I was like, okay, but then what is exposure? Because exposure is how long the drawings are, like how long the drawings are on screen, and so that is really genuinely where your like slow and fast appear. Because I can have two drawings that are super far apart, but I can expose them for like an hour each. And then it's like, okay, how is that fast? It's not fast, that's incredibly slow, right? So I don't like saying distance equals speed and closeness equals slow, because it's technically a good way, I think, a good way of looking at it, because it's like, okay, when you're explaining easing, then it's like you're slow, you have a slow in and a slow out, right? So it gets gradually, the spacing changes gradually. Makes sense. But, yeah, I don't know. Just confused by that, because it's like, okay, well, how come these drawings that are super close are really fast? These ones that are super, seem to be a lot of contradiction, because the overlap with exposure wasn't properly explained. Or I guess it probably was, I just didn't understand it. I don't want to have some parts that are on the blue side and then others that aren't. Because that would just look weird. So yeah, I would explain it like amount of motion, which is essentially the same thing, but just more complicated and most likely harder to understand. But distance equals amount of motion, basically, right? And maybe think about it this way: if distance equals amount of motion, then the equation becomes large. It becomes, here would it be? Amount of motion let's see what that'd be divided by. How would you explain that? What would be that equation? So if your amount of motion was 5, but your exposure was 100, that would be slow. But if your amount of motion was 5, and your exposure was 2, that would be fast. So if it's multiply, that would be 500, which is definitely a big number, but that would also be 10. So it's like the equation is distance times length or exposure. Equals, this is not how you write equations, but speed. Isn't there an actual, like, Newtonian equation for speed? I'm sure there is. It's like mass times velocity or something like that. Speed equals distance. Yeah, see, exactly. That's okay. So it's distance yeah, I would definitely include this in an animation class, because even so, like Newtonian physics is distance divided by time. And this is exactly applied to animation. It's just if you change these to animation terms, distance is actually space, and time is actually exposure. So distance equals that. Distance is that. And time is your X sheet, which is this thing over here. So I guess I would represent that like a grid. Boom. Yeah, see, that's a really good way of thinking about it, because if you just say that in the way that a lot of animation classes would say to me, they would say, okay, speed equals space, or they would say speed equals distance, but that's not true. There has to be there has to be an equation to it, and the equation is, if you look at, where's this? If you look at Newton, and I think most people would say looking at actual physics is overkill for animation. I think that this is an example of when it's not overkill. But Newton says his equation. I'm assuming this is Newton because he's the type of guy who would do this. That's the equation. Now, switching that to animation terms would be speed equals space divided by which I'm re-articulating the same idea that I got to at the beginning. I'm just trying to make it cleaner and clearer. Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it, in that it's perfectly mathematical. Or no, it's a great way of thinking about it because it is physically accurate, physically realistic. And that's the thing about animation, is that, like, it's a cartoon, yeah, and so you want to break the laws of reality. But the thing is that great animation, it doesn't break the laws per se, as it uses them to its advantage. So, like, a great animation would be something that uses the understanding of physics to get the desired effect, not something that ignores the reality of physics so that it can cheaply achieve its goals. Does So that was my last in between for this. Yeah, it's still a little rough around the edges. The individual features are kind of popping a little bit, but let's take a look. So spacing is going to happen here on my timeline because that is how that works. Not in fact filled out. Let me actually fill this because I'm a bad boy. Let's see. So I'm gonna lean 28 more towards 27, and then I'm going to have these guys evenly. So we get 1, 2. Let's put these guys on 2s. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then this guy can go right here. Yeah, let's do something like that, and then zoom out a little bit so that we can adjust our play. And we want to start like here. See how that looks. Oh, yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Again, a little rough around the edges. But you see how it... Honestly, I might even want it to go a little bit fast at the beginning. I might delete 28 just so that it goes faster. So you see, that's part of the equation, is that I could remove 28, which would give me more space, or I could shift my frames down, which would change the time. And that makes it faster as well. That looks so good. Like, don't get me wrong, I can see the eyebrows spazzing out, and the eyelashes are also kind of wigging out, but like, just the motion of it. That might be a little too fast, actually. Because I don't want it to be like I don't want to be rushed. Like it is sort of a slow movement. Just I want it to start as a whip and then even out. Make it a bit of motion blur. This looks good. Let me see how it looks if I give it more of the more runway to sort of build into it. She goes up, down. I want that down to be like a whip. I want it to be whippy. I don't wanna make it imperceptible. Adding a bit of camera move might patch that seam a little bit, make the seam a little bit more blended. Also having the background panning will make this way cooler. Let me see the whole thing. See the whole thing. can pop a like. Yeah. Again, I think probably get so it's a little rough around the edges, but it's giving me the it's giving me what I want, if you know what I'm saying. It's giving me the feeling I want deep inside my bowels. Still not certain about these drawings over here, but they exist, so there's that. Alright, it's been more than an hour. Let's see, how long has it been actually? It has been an hour and 30 minutes, basically. So I should figure out what I'm doing now. Do I want to keep streaming, or do I want to end it there? Low-key, I kind of want to see if I can rope in some viewers. You know what would be cool? I should change my... change my keyboard to be reactive, so that does that. Which normally I wouldn't be able to see because I'm not staring at my keyboard, but because I have a cam on it, you guys can see it. Okay, what am I gonna do? So I still need to in between this whole half of the second part. So let me figure out what I need to get done. First of all, I need to, in between I need it in between the last quarter of the animation, so, you know, this part. I wonder if it would be cool if I, like, did this. Nah, that's lame. After I'm done in betweening the rest of the king animation, then I'm going to need to basically go back through and refine the in-betweens into... I could probably do that during cleanup, actually, now that I think about it. That might be the right idea. Just because it'd be faster. Okay, I'm gonna see what happens if I, actually, do I want to do that? Because that's gonna lead to the recording. I kind of don't want to do that. Yeah. So my next thing I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna need to finish keying the secondary. There are 2 R's in secondary. I feel like there should be. Gorgeous handwriting. Then I'm going to need to, in between, I don't know if there's as many either. Between the secondary animation. I'm gonna need to add lighting to the whole thing. To add her legs, shouldn't take that long. I'm gonna have to add tears, also shouldn't take that long. I wonder if I have to change the stream settings. Yes, actually. Guess we're into the next hour. Okay, yeah, and then I'm gonna need to clean everything up. Forgot my A. I think I can do it. It's just probably gonna take an all-nighter. Like, honestly, I think take like an hour and a half to do this. Those 4 in-betweens. Probably take me another 2 hours to finish in between. Secondary animation will probably take me a while. Playing probably won't take that long. Legs will take barely any time. Adding tiers will take barely any time as well. Cleanup will take probably a medium amount of time. So, I almost feel like that's too smooth. It's either too smooth or it's not smooth enough. Or like, it's either too smooth or the imperfections are making it feel like the amount of smoothness is contrasting with imperfections. Like, clashing. Doesn't feel quite like I want it to. It's too fast. It's too fast and too slow at the same time, and that's fun. I think I might have too many in-betweens. Placed in the wrong areas. I think that maybe I don't know. Maybe the in-betweens need to be put like I can't see my keyboard. Tired though. It's kind of a yikes. I don't know. How this is gonna fit in here. This is bothering me. Don't know why. Honestly, it might be the spacing, because I did do some kind of weird, janky stuff with the spacing. I'm try making it a little bit more even. Or just like keeping normal, I guess. Boom. Boom. So what if I just put this like smack dab in the middle? Doesn't want the middle. Get this all on twos. See how that looks. That might look worse, honestly. Maybe 27 needs more space, bro. Damn, I don't know. Maybe I should just sleep on it. The eyebrows are definitely bugging me out. Okay. Hear me out though. What if I deleted like 29, 30, and 31? Just hear me out. And then, like, move these guys in so that it's faster. Oh, that looks better. Oh, fuck. That does look better. I just wasted time drawing 3 in-betweens, bro. See, this is why it's important to understand that equation, because this is why you should use an X sheet and spacing, because otherwise you waste time. Like, this literally works better. I just need to fix my spacing. Like, just needs a little more air. I really don't want to delete those drawings, bro. But honestly, what if I deleted 25? I mean, what if I deleted 27? This hurts my soul. I think that might be better too. Just give it a little bit more breathing room. Damn. Don't be like me, kids. Do your king X sheets and your spacing charts. Otherwise you'll waste 2 hours on drawings that you didn't need. That looks so good. But not perfect. It's getting there. I think actually maybe 27 could come back, but just be like barely existing. Let's give that guy 27 and see what he looks like. Let's get 27 one more frame just to see what it looks. What are you doing, dog? So, I think I could see the argument to bring maybe like bring 31 back. Like right there. I think 31 probably needs a little bit less time to play. Keep it tight. This might be a bit too fast. Because she's actually moving her body. That's what's creating. If this is a camera move, that type of speed would make sense, but I feel like it doesn't make sense for her to move. Her, like, her shoulders are flying by. Like, okay. I mean, the camera's moving at the same time as her, so maybe that makes sense. Like, she's slowly moving her shoulders, but because the camera's moving, they seem fast. I'm not so certain about that, though. Might need a little bit more time. things were necessary. I just need less space. Let's see. Could give 28. Can take 28 out more. See how that looks. Kind of like that. Not just exaggerated. I think it's hard to tell, but sometimes when you just look at something for too long, then it starts to look right because you are used to seeing it, and that's not good. Because I don't know if it's actually looking right or if it's just we're just getting used to seeing it, and so I'm starting to see it as good. See how it looks with the whole thing, that usually helps. Okay, dude. Half the time it feels right, other half the time it feels wrong. Slow down. It feels like it comes to a bit of an abrupt stop. Try giving 32 some more space. Let's see what this. I can finish this. I know I can. Should probably sleep though. It's looking a little dubious there. Alright, chat, I'm gonna end my stream there.